Okay, we should be good. I think the stream's starting up. Okay, so today's stream, a little bit of a curveball, them delaying Timberborn 1.0 release. This was going to be the beginning of a new series, but since they weren't ready, which is totally fine, we'll just have kind of an intermediate live stream. Today we're going to be trying out some of their new features, but since this is a new map, we are not going to be able to get there if we play in normal mode. So what we're going to do is actually use one of the features they have. It's been around for a while, but if you do Alt-Shift-Z, takes you into developer mode, and then you have everything at your fingertips. You can unlock stuff if you click Control and then place it down. So like stairs, 70 science, it's unlocked now. So we're going to do that. We're basically just going to try and get the beavers so that they can survive and thrive. And then we're going to start playing with some of the automation features they have. I'm hoping that you guys know a little bit in today's video because I've not had the chance to play through with any of this yet. So we're going to be learning a little bit together. But in the beginning, normally I just try and connect up to get some water here, which we won't need to do that since we can just make some water tanks and fill them. So I guess let's pause it real quick. Hello, Scott. Welcome to the live stream. But we'll try and connect everything in. Oh man, they made it one off. But so we can get some housing set up, and then we'll get some production set up, and then food and fun stuff. So we can start with housing. We'll just unlock the barracks. And then I think we'll probably have housing back here, which maybe I don't need to focus on this too much since this is basically just, you know, developer mode. Just playing through. Actually gonna go in front though. So we have a few of those. We can get some storages for food. Just get some medium warehouses. We'll set it up a little bit differently, because we can utilize the tops of these to also get some rooftop terraces set up. Oh, you have to hold control, otherwise it's not gonna place it down automatically. And then we'll basically just place them back to back for now. And then we'll get all the stairs set up. I'm offsetting it so we can also go up on top of them easier. And they'll also want some water storage. Maybe we shift this path over just a little bit. We can go like this. And then we'll have a nice big water tank right next to the entrance for them. And then as soon as this beaver walks out of the way, then it's gonna fill up. Whoop. We can pick a resource. We'll have berries as one. We can modify the inventory and give all. Then we fill it up. And then we'll basically just go through and pick a few resources, a few foods for the beavers. This will help get their well-being up and to make sure they don't starve. And these are fermented mushrooms. Looks like we have a few others in the chat. Good morning, Sand Artist and Lucky. Yeah, today we're going to be, probably the first 15 minutes or so is going to be just setting up a colony, and then we'll get to play through some of the automation features that they added. So there's a lot that we can look at. So I'm pretty excited because I haven't had a chance to play through it yet. So it's going to be fun. And then next weekend, we'll start a new playthrough. I'm hoping there's going to be a new map. We'll see. So we have all that. We have space behind here. We can probably actually remove one of these, and then we'll get a path that kind of cuts through. And then we still can get another house. Have they replaced the sluice? Yes, it's something different now, but it's similar to the sluice. So they call it the throttle valve, a one-way water outlet with adjustable flow rate. So you can change that, and then I think you need to use one of the sensors. So we have so many, but we'll get into all this later. But yes, it seems like there's not just a normal sluice anymore. So we'll see how it is with some of, like on Spillage, the other series I'm playing through. That one has sluices. I don't know if they replaced it or if they just left them. Like if you already had placed them down in previous maps. So we'll get to see how that goes. And then we're going to build a little bit of an overhang. Try and get a little bit more usable space. And if you don't hold control, it's just going to place it down to be constructed later. And then we'll just get a few fun activities, some campfires. And then we can press play soon. Just trying to get a few good things for the beavers. And then what else should we do? Same as before. Lucky said it's the same as before, but they call it a valve. Interesting. We could probably get exercise plaza. That's a good one. We can fit that at the end if we just add. Oh my goodness. There we go. Now we can fit that. Okay, so that's a good amount of fun stuff. We can get some other things added later. And then we can fill this with water. And then, I don't know if we even really need to do production, since, and maybe we could try it. We'll start with some basics. Oh, the world being's going to be jumping up. It's going to be fun. We can go through here. Should probably get a farm set up. We don't need to have all these blueberries. We can add some more later. Let's do a little farm at the back here. Get a fluid dump to irrigate everything. And then we can also get a farmhouse. And then we'll just plant some basics. I'm going to stick with kohlrabi. And then some casabas. And then I guess we can add some production here down the road. Let's start with a dam, just to have a little bit of irrigation at the top. And then probably a water pumper. And I missed it. Missed one. You're here listening, but you're also driving and doing adult stuff. You are a dedicated sand artist. You show up at pretty much every live stream. Okay, I'll place this down and then we can start playing around with some of the features, because I am very curious. See how it goes. Okay, so food will be fine. We have someone collecting water. Let's add in a hauling post real quick, just so there's some other beavers. They can hop into other jobs, I should say. Just put that at the end, or we'll put it here. This is lowest priority. And then we don't really need beaver builders. Let's add in a couple breeding pods. That should be sufficient. Prioritize this by haulers. In case we have food, we should place some berries down. We'll do some blueberries. Let's see. Control shift. Okay, that's... Oh geez. I'm trying to remember how you can place... Because you have placing down blueberries that are not fully grown up, placing down grown up blueberry bushes, and then placing ripe blueberry bushes. Maybe it's Alt Shift? No. Control Alt? No. Control Tab maybe? Nope. Alt, oh. Whoopsies. Okay, well I don't know exactly how we place down fully mature blueberry bushes, but we can always just fill this. So we can just give some. But this just makes it so that we don't have to constantly go fill it. We have 10 vacant jobs. We can add in a few beavers. Now we should have... Yeah, we're fine. Why are they sitting around? They'll figure it out. Okay, so let's start playing around with some of the features. This is where it gets fun. Okay, so we gotta go through everything. I mean, it's gonna be nice to actually be able to read stuff. Okay, I'm gonna pull up Steam. And so I'm gonna be reading through some of what it says. Let's see, let's make it so I can actually see what you guys are saying too. Okay, I can't see your guys' chat. Let's switch this. There we go. Beaver spawning, we're playing Beaver God today. Just a little bit. Okay, so we have a lever, which is flipped manually, and either the building panel or printable or pinnable UI element. Most basic way of sending a signal. So we have the lever, and then I know we have the relay, which I don't know how far the range is. Okay. Let's do, if we get some power involved. So this one is just a power source. This produces as much power as we need. We can do a power shaft. I think that there was, yeah, a clutch in here. So let's place a clutch. Oh, that might be the wrong way. So we can rotate it and then that'll be in line. Yeah, that makes sense. So we can engage and disengage the clutch. And then we can get this paired to another building. We'll just stick with the lumber mill. The most basic of buildings. And then we'll get a couple storages down. We'll have one filled with logs, another one with planks. Give all. This one will be planks, but we're not going to give it all. And then let's just add in a lumberjack flag. And then he can start chopping these trees. Then we can plant trees later. So we have this guy. He is just getting started. So we can disengage the clutch and then he is powerless. But we can automate this somehow. We can tie that to, if we put that switch, I guess if maybe we put the relays next to it, will that connect that in? So switch is on. Pinned? I don't know what that means. On if input is off. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, we're getting a coding. This is gonna be fun. Let's start reading through stuff. We have the relay. Perform simple logical operations on its input signals, not OR, and XOR, pass through. This way, for example, you can make pumps turn on only when there is sufficient water depth and your tanks are getting empty. Okay, so we have this guy. So we can use, let's do a depth sensor. So that's going to be right next to it. And we'll have this. And so we'll go to depth sensor. threshold. So the threshold, oh geez. Also, we have quite a few people who joined today. Hopefully some of you guys are new. Some returning, I know. But let's see. If you guys know any of this and want to help me out, then by all means, yeah, let me know. But it seems like we can actually turn this on and off. So if we have the depth sensor, and then we set that to not on if input is off. So is this guy paused right now? No, oh wait. We do automate? Ooh, okay. So depth sensor. And then okay. Okay, so we have the measurement in the depth sensor, which is greater than. So if it's greater than, then it switches this one to off. That's how I'm gathering it. But let's switch it the other way. So now, since, well, I think it'd probably be the opposite, I guess. We'd want to have it if there's a lot of water. So if the depth is above 0.5, then this guy can start pumping. But if it gets too low and we want to use this to irrigate, then we would have this get paused. So we could have a whole field of water pumpers. Let's detonate all this. And then we can add in a few water pumpers. And then we can have we could do a few things. So let's see if we start combining. So we have a depth sensor. We also have a contamination sensor. We have a flow sensor. So these ones I think are pretty straightforward. This one's measuring, you know, what's the flow, and then we can have stuff dependent on if stuff is flowing or not. I'm curious about the range of these relays. So I put a relay right here, and then I place a depth sensor right here. Does this one, let's see, can we automate? No way. Based on that lever? Oh my gosh, what's the range on these things? I can just use this lever to switch it on and off. That's kind of nuts. And then you can automate stuff. So I guess in the beginning, so how much does all this stuff cost anyways? So it requires 400 science, 100 science, 300, 600. Some of these are more expensive. Then you get some really expensive ones. And then these two are one-time purchases. Unlock once for all settlements. So I'm not going to unlock these because I just unlock it in my other playthroughs. I want to get these once at least. Legit. Okay, memory changes and holds its state in response to specific input sequences, a cornerstone of advanced automation. That's going to be something else. I don't need the relay. It connects with Bluetooth or Beavertooth. Ah. Yeah, so this one is, we don't need this, it seems, because we can just pick whatever we want to connect this to. So we could do, there's so many, okay. Yeah, so we don't need these relays. You are absolutely right. get rid of those. We don't need this lever, so I think that unautomates this. We have the, so then we can have, okay, so we have the clutch, which I think that if we, let's say we have a weather station. Where is that? Weather station. So this one we can place up here. So it's active during temperate weather, drought, bad tide. Sends a signal based on the weather. So I'm thinking if we have a water wheel that's right here providing power, or a few water wheels, and then we have, oh, we need to do this. So if we have these all connected in for this, and then we have another power source, let's pretend, let's actually just change this. So this is going to be an engine. We're going to move it around a little bit. And then if we want to connect this in, but this requires wood and we don't need it to go all the time. So we can have this, oh wait, it's engaged. Can I pair this? Because what I want to do is have this, oh, so maybe we have, okay. I'm a little confused now. We have all these. I want to know if I can engage the clutch or not. Oh, automate. Okay, there we go. So I don't need this relay, I don't think. We can automate that based on the weather station. And so then we would want to have, or maybe we use a relay? Because right now, I don't want this engaged since we have temperate weather. I want it to be anytime this temperate weather is not engaged. So maybe we go instead through relay 5, and then this can go off of the weather station. Yeah, so this says not. If on if input is off. Yes, I think that's right, because then if we had this switch to a drought, then this will turn on because we wouldn't have any power coming through here. Cool. Oh my gosh, you guys are talking. Hello, Games Nation. You're back, your exams are over. Gave 10th boards exam. Interesting. But yeah, today is an automation day. This is, I mean, there's so much stuff that you can do with this. Yeah, the clutch gets the signal from the weather station because I added in the relay. And if I wanted to have the clutch directly connected to the weather station, it would basically just be active whenever I have the weather station active. But I want it to be the opposite. So I want it to be reversed. So only during a wet season would this clutch be turned off. Because we don't need this engine running during wet season when we get power. So this guy's getting plenty of power, but when this stops flowing, then we'll want to have this clutch engage and then we can start using the engine. So, and then we know the lever. This is just infinite range, I guess. What we can do also, we can automate this connected to this depth sensor. And I guess the relay, that's going to be helpful for if we want stuff to be inverted. So, and then we can also, we can add ands in, and then ors. Oh man. This is going to be fun. So we have a depth sensor, and we have a flow sensor. So we have a depth sensor, we have the flow sensor. We can measure that. Right now it's 0.88 cubic meters per second, 0.71 meters. Threshold. So what we could do is we could have these water pumpers turn on only if we have enough water flowing through here and we have a certain depth. And then alternatively we could switch it to if there's water flowing or there's a certain depth. So we can do, where's the relay? So we could do a relay. I don't think location matters. I think it, however you want to pair it together. So this would be or if this or this, and then this would be based off of this relay. Can you rename stuff? Like so this could be water relay 1. Oh, caps locked. Water relay 1, or water pumper relay 1. So now this guy, he's connected to that one, and then we can copy the settings and do both of those. So those are all based off of the water relay 1. And then oh, for these, you can also do pass-through, so I think that means that nothing happens. Let's see. Let's just do another relay. Finish that. This one will be a pass-through. And then we'll go through water pumper relay 1. This one, we can go through that, and then we can have this, so we can do not. So I'll pause all of them because it's the opposite of whatever this one's getting. See you, sand artist. Glad you could stop by. Okay, so the pass through can just be another basically line that you want to maybe adjust down the road. Okay, so this one's inverted, so we got that part figured out. So we have the lever, which is just you turning stuff on and off. The relay is very helpful. Flow sensor, depth sensor, contamination sensor. So we could do something like this. Okay, so now this is, we're going to go to this. When we do triple dynamite, well, first let's remove some trees. Remove a few trees, get some triple. Let's detonate this. And then the water's leaving. Ooh, I went one too low. That's fine. So let's get some levees. And then we can start playing around with the sluices. Or floodgates. Oh, look at they have sluice, fill valve, and throttling valve. This is a one-way outlet that regulates the downstream water level. This is a one-way water outlet that with adjustable flow rate. Okay, so I'll probably use a fill valve. That's basically a sluice. And then we can place that there. Or maybe we go like this. We could even do this instead. We'll do floodgates on top. So right now we'll just let it go. And so this has a target height. Is that, wait a second. We have that height. One-way outlet that regulates the downstream water level. Interesting. If you want that to be 0, but we can automate this. Interesting, so it's the target height. So it hasn't, I mean, this doesn't directly have anything to do with contamination, but we can obviously set up some sensors. So if we wanted to do a contamination sensor, let's say. So we can set one up right here. Threshold, how precise? Okay, we can go to 1%, that's good. So if the measurement is greater than 5%, this will turn on. And then we could have this fill valve automated with the contamination sensor. And so when this is off, the target height is 0. When it's on, we would just go to unlimited. And those are both paired. We can also do, we could do this as well. So we could pair this. I don't know why we wouldn't really need to in this combination. But we can have this automated with, you know, the contamination sensor. Same thing. That's cool. Okay, we'll do none. We'll leave that. See, this is where it could be interesting. Oh, on double speed. Let's go to single. Also, quick resource check. Looks like we have plenty of water. Food's fine. Doing good on resources. Okay. So we have this set up. That's all making sense. We have our water pumper relay 1, and then we have just a pass-through relay that we can kind of play around with. Turn them off, or just leave it. And then we have the contamination sensor. Oh yeah. So what we could do here, because I do not like using dams. Those are not my favorite. But floodgates can be a little interesting. So normally it's probably good to have your water elevation depth at like 0.7, maybe 0.75. What we could do is we could get a flow sensor up here. Flow sensor, and then maybe we want to have it, you know, kind of more over the middle. It's more representative. And so then this, so right now the threshold is at it's above 1. I need to figure out whatever, like, the, you know, max flow is and what it goes down to normally. Let's say it drops below, let's say 0.3. Ooh, can you do multiple? So what I'm thinking is, let's say this engages when it's less than 0.3. So normally this is running full depth. That's totally fine. Or full, you know, there's water flowing through here. So when it gets below, like right before a wet season approaches, then the flow rate's going to go down. Once it starts going like real low, then what I would want is to actually have this raise up, so we can pair that with this flow sensor. So normally it's down to 0.75, but then when this sensor turns on, which would be when the flow rate drops below a certain level, then we want to actually raise these up a little bit. So then we want to go to like 0.9, because we know that there's not going to be much water coming through here. And then that just basically let us save up a little bit more right before that drought hits, or the bad tide hits. And then we have, for the bad tide, we have this turn on when the contamination sensor engages. And then we could obviously set up, you know, something over here to block the bad water, and basically have a sluice or a floodgate that turns on or closes when this contamination sensor senses some bad water. That is cool. So we have some of the water ones. We have a chronometer which sends a signal based on the time of day. So what would this be useful for? We can have some jobs turn on and off earlier in the day. We wouldn't have, I mean, obviously the work hour still impacts it. The weather station, that one we already used. That's going to be helpful for power, because we can have these steam engines turn on and off during certain weather seasons, so like during a wet season or a drought or bad tide. Activate early. Oh. Interesting. So we could have this turn on, would that be 4 hours before the wet season approaches? That's what I'm guessing that means. So the chronometer, trying to think of what we'd want to use this for. I guess what you could do, oh, you know what? So let's say we have, ooh, I got something. Okay, so we have a chronometer. Let's just place a couple down right here. Or maybe, yeah, we'll start with a couple. Let's see, skeletal phoenix. Chronometer has presets for during working hours and outside working hours, so it can be used to activate things only when viewers have stopped working. Time ranges, working hours, non-working hours. I see. When working hours, it's on. The time ranges could be great, because what I would want to do, because right now, fluid dumps, I have those as a beaver's working in there full time, even though you can see right now he's just sitting around. He ain't doing diddly squat. What we could do, let's say I wanted to irrigate over here. Let's just place down some dynamite, detonate that. Let's say we want to get a forester set up. So we could do something like this. We'll even just fill everything in. We'll get that forester unlocked. We'll place him here. But we also want to irrigate this so we have a bit more green space. He can place down, we'll do some pine trees. But this guy, we don't need someone full-time in this water dump and this one. So what we could do, let's do with chronometer 1. This will start, oh, that's just a halfway mark. We can turn it on and off. I'm assuming that basically what I want to do is have half the time this building is paused, half the time this building is paused, but they're inverted. So one of them is always paused and one of them is always turned on. And that would basically mean that we can have one worker working in 2 different fluid dumps. And that, I use these 3x3 grids all the time, and we have a worker in them 24/7. So we don't really need one beaver working in one of these full time. What we could do is have, let's just go, see, I wish I could see based on working hours where that falls in here. Start 0. I'm assuming that 0 is at the beginning of the workday, which would be right here. A not relay could help as opposed to 2 chronometers. Yeah, I just placed 2 down, but yes, a relay would definitely be helpful. Because, yeah, if we do, we can remove this one, because yeah, we don't need it. But yeah, if we did relay, so this one would go automate through this relay, and then this relay would be not based off of this one, and then we could have this fluid dump automate just based off of the chronometer. So this guy's paused right now. We can, so let's see, 12 hours, we have 15 hours. Let's go 8 hours. We'll see how that goes. So right now it says it's off. So if we speed it up, let's go to 3 times speed. I'm assuming that when the new day starts, this should turn on. And then we can kind of evaluate from there. So we have this guy. So yeah, that just turned on. So now we have this fluid dump is working. And then let's see, about halfway through the day, this one should turn on, this one should turn off. So we'll speed it up again because he's filling up water. And so we're probably 5 hours in. Let's see if this works. Yeah, he's already sitting around. Yep, okay. So that one just paused. Now this one's going. Excellent. Cool. So that is going to be super helpful for these fluid dumps. There's probably other things that you could utilize. So if there's some jobs that you don't need running full time and you basically want to have a beaver do multiple jobs, it could be only sometimes. So like maybe if you had to gather a flag for some blueberries right here, and then other times you only needed them some other location. Like if we had a blueberry farm right here, and then way over here we had a coffee farm, then we could have one gather flag for both if you didn't have enough crops to yield or to warrant having 2 different gather flags running full time. So that's the chronometer. We've already covered the weather station, like I mentioned. So we have this weather station paired to the clutch, which this will engage when the weather station is technically when it's not active, but we're using the relay that inverts the signal that it needs. So otherwise, if we didn't have this inverter and we had this paired directly with this, then it would be engaged during the temperate weather as they describe it. But instead we want this to be based on this relay to invert it. How many hours do I have on the game? Too many. I think it's well over 1,000. So I've been playing quite a bit. But this is the first time I've played through the automation. Let's see, we have the power meter, which monitors power network parameters. Does this need to be connected in? Let's see, we probably need to put that in this system somewhere. I don't think we need to be able to walk to it, but we just need to be able to see it. Okay, so we have if the supply, demand, surplus, and battery charge are relationship to number. So how do we want to use this? We could... Okay, so what we could do, let's say we have some number crunchers. So we have this one, and then we can connect that in along the backside. Okay, but we want to have another clutch. Let's duplicate this. Actually, let's not duplicate it because that has some information tied to it. We don't want that. We have the clutch. We want this to be dependent on this. We want this if the surplus is greater than 0. No. How much power does this require? This requires 500 power. Also, this is turned on temperate weather. Am I missing something? This is going to relay 5. Why is... Oh, that's why. Whoopsies. Let's change this. Okay. We can remove these trees. And then the rubble. And then we'll have this go behind. Okay. Oh, that's going to be... There's a surplus and there's not a surplus. Let's repause. So you can't pause these. Let's disengage that. Okay. Clearly that ain't working. What I would want to do is if the surplus, so this requires 500 HP, so we'd say if the surplus is greater than 500 instead of just greater than 0. And so then we can have this is based off of this. Okay. And so since our surplus is 176, which I guess that is changing. But what we could do, yeah, so this would just basically be if we have enough extra power, then, oh, that was awful. Then we can turn on this number cruncher. Because sometimes it's nice to have the number crunchers going, but during a drought, when there's less power, you don't necessarily need that. Especially when you're trying to like farm a lot of extra science. Having a few of those that are basically seasonal can be helpful. And so as long as we have everything tied in on the correct side. Oh, is this going to be one of those things? Okay, so if we don't really need the surplus to be above a certain threshold because it's obviously just cyclical. Instead, we would care about the supply. Is that how we want to look at it? Because as long as the supply, I think, is greater than a certain amount. Do you have to start doing math to figure that out? Because like we have the total network, supply and demand, We know the total demand for this system is 575, but 500 of that is coming through here. So really we care, is our supply greater than, I guess, 575? I guess there's different ways you can look at it, right? Because typically, you know, I'd be okay if this lumber mill was only running at 80% efficiency. But if it's running at 20% efficiency, I don't want this one turned on. So then we could say, okay, let's say that if the supply is above 500, probably is honestly a fine number. Or you could say something less. You could say if you're above 350, then you want to have this clutch engaged. So this will turn on if it's above 350. During a wet season, that's going to be plenty. Or let's say actually instead of 350, we want it to be if it's above 400. Because this will be working during the or during the drought and the bad tide. So this is going to turn on, but we don't necessarily want this number cruncher running, because then we reduce the efficiency of this. Let's say we had a few more buildings that also require some power. Like if you had maybe a gear workshop or two, those require 120 power. We could go like this. So now everything's at 90% efficiency. We could do 400 power, maybe we could bump it up to like 500. But I think, tell me if that's making sense to you guys. Basically the power meter, there's so many things. Not equal to, greater than or less than, or equal to. Supply demand. You can have it where it's cyclical if you have the demand or surplus, because that is that would change if this clutch was on or off, because then it's engaging and disengaging this number cruncher. Well, we got some injured beavers. Let's put a couple medical beds down. We got that. This guy's planting some trees. Okay, what other automation do we have? We have the power meter, population counter. Okay, so we got this one. The district or global population. For us right now, it doesn't matter. Total population, measurement 25. So we could just have that tied to breeding pods. Kind of what I'm thinking. That'd be a no-brainer. Let's say we have, because we have 5 of them. Let's say we want to automate this one based off of this. If the total population, oh, I guess we want to use an inverter or a relay. So we can have this set to not, and then set to this guy. And so then this one would be instead dependent on this. And that's only if less than, I guess you wouldn't necessarily need the inverter, because you could switch this. So let's try that. We'll remove this. This breeding pod is going to be automated based off of this. And then if the total population is less than 50, total population is less than 50, this will turn off we'll have this breeding pod turn off. Let's say our population keeps going up. It's going up a lot faster than we expected. We could have another one. This one be less than 60. It's less than 60. We could have multiple. You can have this one tied to this, and then duplicate the settings so we have two of them that are tied to population counter. And if we somehow had 2 breeding pods, or I guess first scenario would be 50 beavers. If we get above 50, this one turns off, but if we still keep going up in population and we really don't want to go above 60, we could have 2 of them tied to it. Those would both pause if we got above 60. So, let's see, Skeletal Phoenix, you said population counter is so powerful with all of its options for what it measures, like measuring injured beavers, to close a gate leading to where they are demolishing thorns. Oh my gosh. I was just looking at population. Yeah, there's a million things in there. Let's put one more down. Population counter. So total population. Oh, that's including the iron bots. We have total beavers, adults, children bots, occupied beds, free beds, homeless, jobs, employed, unemployed, vacancies, total workers, healthy workers. Look at that. Interesting. So what you could do, let's say we have a smelter, for example. This is a medium chance, or maybe that's not a good example. Let's go with this. We have a dirt excavator. This guy is going to be right here. Let's get some stairs. And then we can add some power. So this guy's running. We have some vacancies. We have only 25 workers. Let's add in a few more beavers. Okay, so this guy's running full blast. But this is a high chance of injury job. We want this if we have unhealthy. Is it the same as injured? Freedom. I think it'd be healthy. We're just going to go with beavers because that's all it's working on right now. If this is more than 5, this engages if it's more than 5. This will be automated. Oh wait. See, we can just use the inverse. If it's less than 5. And this is less than 5, it's on. But if it goes greater than 5, then it'll turn off. We want this to be paired with that. So this is running, which is what we want since we don't have that many injured beavers. We have where is it? Free beds. Do we have no injured beavers at the moment? I'm not seeing any injured beavers. I mean, I'm not complaining, but let's say we're gonna get rid of this one. We have five medical beds. If we have more than 5 injured beavers, I guess more than 4 maybe. We have more than 4 injured beavers. We want this guy to turn off because this is a job that's probably injuring the beavers. To use an example you saw elsewhere on YouTube. I see. Yeah, the thorns. If you just start getting injured beavers, do the thorns left and right then. Yeah, you could turn stuff on and off. Measurement 0 on the population counter means there are none. Yes. That makes sense. So measurement, we have 1, which we just saw an injured beaver. It's going to show us there. Okay, incapacitated. So you have 1 incapacitated beaver. Measurement's 1. If that measurement is less than 4, then it stays on. I understand that. I don't feel like... I get how that works. But for me, the way my brain thinks about it is if this is greater than, then we can have this one set to not... What I'm doing is technically unnecessary. We could really just go through this. Because if we have unhealthy workers above a certain threshold, then it turns on, which would then invert through here and then pause this. But you could do it either way. I'm just adding an extra step. For me, that's how I think about it more. So I guess I need to think about it inversely. If I want to get rid of this this relay. So, what have we gone through now? We got through the lever, the relay, all those flow sensors, the chronometer, which is, I'm super excited for that one. We have the weather station. That one makes sense. Power meter, we used that. And we've only touched on it. There's still so much more that you could do with this. And then we have the population counter. That one's going to be helpful. Resource counter. So now we have our resource counter. You can't automate these now. This could be, okay, so we have water. So we could have this dependent on this bad boy. If the water is greater than threshold percentages. Okay. Can you change it from percentages to, oh yeah, quantity or percentage? So we could do either one. Let's say quantity wise, because we can hold 1200 in here. Let's say if we drop below 800. So this is off right now because we are above 800. Maybe the other way around. This is on because we are above 800. What do we want to pause? We could pause some things, like we could... Oh, so we might need a relay? Because right now we have both of these fluid dumps that are related to the chronometer and or the relay. Oh man, this is a lot to think about. So we have the relay. This can be, let's see, we have not X or, is that not or? Let's see, skeletal, you said renaming the logic buildings to describe what they are measuring can help with keeping it all organized. Like, if beavers are unique, or sorry, if beavers are uninjured during bad tides, etc. Yes. Yeah, like this one, this is relay 7. This could be fluid dump. I guess, would you still keep that relay title in there? Or just like fluid dump splitter relay chronometer. Fluid dumps. Drought approaching. Okay, so we can bump this up to, so 72 hours is the most. Let's go to 68. So this should turn off in like a few hours. Is that going to switch this? Because this activates early, but does it deactivate early? I guess probably not, because we would have to have it set to a drought, and then if we had activate early, it would turn on, but then you need to use... Okay, let's see. So we're well past that, so this is not turning on, or turning off. Okay. We can turn that part off. What we can do, let's take a look at the... Let's do this. We have a drought. We're going to make this, instead of not, it's going to be a pass-through. This is now just reflecting whatever this says. So this is not engaged because this is off. Let's say we wanted to activate it early. Let's say we want it at 48 hours. So that's going to be 2 full days before the drought appears. Realistically, I'd probably want to do it something like only a few hours, like maybe 8 hours or 4. But just for the sake of demonstration, let's see how this works. So we have this set to a drought. We want this to turn on when a drought occurs, because it'll then engage this clutch and let the steam engine provide power to these buildings. But we're going to have it turn on early because the water rate is going to slow down. So right now it is off because it's not a drought, but 48 hours before that drought occurs, then this should turn on and then engage the clutch through this pass-through. And then we're going to get some extra power. That's what it should be. Let's also modify inventory clear all. We want these guys to, this guy to keep working. Also, let's get a warehouse just to store some gears. Storing gears. Okay, we're going to speed up just a little bit. And so this is still off. We'll see in the morning at hour 0 of the day, but 48 hours before that drought hits, that should turn on. So right now these are both off, and then activate early. It turned on. Yep, that makes sense. So now we have the steam engine going. This clutch is engaged. Cool. So that's another way we could do it. Let's go back to temperate weather. And then this is going to be still an inverter. But we are then missing out on having some steam power during the ending of a wet season, but we'll just leave that. Okay, I gotta take a quick bathroom break. I'll be back very shortly. Okay, we're back. Oh, we have no dirt storage. So we could probably also, because we just got to resource counters, so let's get some storage. Place that down, get a path connected in. Set that to dirt. And then it was over here. We have resource counter. Oh, it needs to be... Oh, I see. Has to be connected to a district center, I guess. Okay, we're going to have this set to... Can I just... No, I can't click on it. To go through here. Oh my goodness. Was dirt in the beginning? Dirt. Oh, it's alphabetical. That makes sense. Quantity. So we want... Okay. So... Oh yeah, I didn't get a chance to finish with the fluid dump slash water quantity. So let's see. If we have a relay... Okay, relay 9. Oh yeah, is this one connected to anything? This one it shows, yeah, it's good that it shows what stuff is connected to. Interesting, so it doesn't show that this one's directly connected to it because it's not. It's indirectly connected to it. Okay, you can follow the chain if you need to. Speaking of bad water, you will need some for fireworks. Interesting. We are getting close to fireworks, kind of. Wait, where are they? Fireworks. Yeah, we'll get there. But for... So, oh wait, maybe I placed that extra relay down for a reason. So let's place this one right here. This is going to be for fluid dump. And water, what do you call it? Quantities? Water storage? Water stores? Oh, there's a limit. Fluid dump and water. So let's see. If we have oh geez. So that goes through here. This would be or. So this would be if. Oh, we need to have 2. So let's say we're going through this one. No, we're just gonna go directly. So we have chronometer. So we could do, so we can do or, we can do and, XOR, is this and or? I guess it'd be, we could just stick with or. So we have this, I guess it wouldn't be the chronometer, right? Because it would be, we would want this to turn off. I guess it could be through here. So we'd have, we want this fluid dump to pause. So this one's going directly through the chronometer. We want this instead to go through here. So this is at the chronometer, or we have the resource counter on if any input is on. So is that how you want it? No, we want it to be something different. So if this is on, we do want that on. That's not true. XOR means exclusive OR. It is on when only one input is on, not 0 or 2. Okay. So why would I want to pause this? I'd want to pause this if the time, if it's not inside the timing window, so like if this is off, or I would want to turn it off if this water counter indicates that we're below what we need to be. So we have it set to OR for either one of those. Really, I'd want it to be... Okay, so maybe this... So I might be wrong here. Would I need to then add another one of these relays to basically invert it? Because we have time ranges, and so it turns on for X amount of hours, then it turns off for X amount of hours. When it's on, let's see, when it's on, this one's on. Sorry. When this one's off, this one's on. When this one's on, this one is theoretically turned on. Right now I've kind of messed it up a little bit, because we also have the resource counter. So we would want to have it, this would probably be inverted. So that. So now we have, this will turn on when the threshold gets below. You could use AND relays based on what their timer plus having enough water. So we have this, instead of OR, set it to AND. Okay. And then we would have this still set to turn on. Whoops. So, this guy's only going to be unpaused if this one's turned on. And this one's turned on if the resource counter is on and if the chronometer is on. Okay. And then we want to do the same. Let's see, so this one. So now if I want to do the same thing for this guy, he goes through here, but instead I need another inverter. Or another relay, I should say. So we have fluid dump in water 1. We can copy that. This one is going to be fluid dump in water 2. And then this, so we can copy the settings for this one, except this one, instead through the chronometer, goes through here. So this guy is only going to be dumping water if this one is on. This one's only going to be on if the fluid counter indicates we have enough water, and if it's the right time of day based on this inverter that goes through the chronometer. Okay, I think that's making sense. Hopefully it's making sense for you guys. So we have the resource counter. We could do the same thing for this dirt excavator. This one is paused. Do we have a lot of injured beavers? We have 5 incapacitated. So it paused it. That is good. We could also... So if we have the dirt that gets above, let's say 90%, Or does it even matter? I mean, you don't necessarily need to do this, but we could do dirt. Instead, let's say if we have more than 200. Okay, hold up. If we have less than 200, it's on. Okay, this whole on-off thing is going to be fun. We have this. Oh yeah, so I was going the opposite. We have that based on... So this is going to be, instead of relay 8, we're going to do dirt excavator throttle. Okay, so I guess you could pick names, like you said, skeletal, that's like basically when you need it, you know, on and off and all that. Dirt excavator controller. Okay, we'll just call it dirt excavator relay. Dirt excavator relay 1. So we want this to be and. So if that is on, and this. But we want to do the opposite. So we want this to be and so then this is on if we are below 200. Yeah. So if we get above 200 dirt, then this will turn off, and then that'll turn this part off, and then that'll pause this. And then we also have, if unhealthy workers are below 4, this turns on, which means that this will turn on, which means that this can turn on. Okay. It's making sense. Do we have any of these? That's based on this, on this. We have ore. If either of these. So we don't care. Yeah. If we start having some flow, or we have a certain amount of water depth. Let's go up to 0.6. This, look at that. So when the flow rate went down, it raised that up to 0.9. Cool. That is also going to be a little because we could also pair that to the weather station, because activate early. Interesting. So we could go a relay through here. Let's just put the relay right next to the thing that it's controlling. So this relay is going to be an ore. So this one is going to be based off of this sensor. So we have that flow sensor. It's on because the threshold is below. And then we also want to add this weather station. So they're both on. Therefore, we have this turned on. I think we might need to do and. So this is going to be turned on. We have it turned on. Why is it temperate weather? Oh, it's because we have, let's do 12 hours. Want it to activate early. Yeah, because technically that's going to turn this off. But I don't need to get... Realistically, I'd probably want to have multiple weather stations. Some that are controlling... Like one of them control this power network. Another one could control this floodgate. Right now I'm having this weather station wear multiple hats. So, this one's going to activate 12 hours early. This is on. When this turns on, I think I want to have it inverted. So let's do this. Let's duplicate. This one is still linked to this. Instead, we're going to switch this one. So this is going to be weather station 2. Let's see, we don't have this weather station. We could instead, let's leave it as temperate. We'll go to 0. So this is off right now. This one is and. So it's on right now. On if both inputs are on. Okay, we gotta pair to this. But really, because I want this to lower when we have the wet season approaching, but not when it's just turned from a wet season. So how do I want to do that? Because this we obviously want to have, one of them is the flow depth, or sorry, the flow sensor. That part makes sense. So this is activated because water's not flowing. We also want this to be raised when this is turned on. I think I'd want an inverter, right? Because this one, we can turn that part off. Because basically when it's not temperate weather, I want it to be on. So when I want, it's either of these two. I guess we could swap it this way. So instead of greater than, sorry, instead of if it's less than 0.2, if it's greater than 0.2, if it's greater than 0.2, it'll be turned on. And then I want an inverter. There's probably a simpler way to do this than the way I'm doing it. This can go through here. This will be not. This will be this one. Yeah, there's probably an easier way to do this. Let's see. But I have the temperate weather. So temperate weather, that's when it's active. It's not temperate, so it's inactive. I can't do not for 2. Right? Yeah, I can't do not for 2. I have to do and. This one goes through here. This does the opposite of this one. And this is off if either of these are off. If either of those are off, that turns off, that raises this up. When the wet season hits, when it comes back, this is going to turn on, but we'll want the gates to be up until there's a certain amount of flow coming through here. And then when that turns on, we can lower it because we'll be fine. Leading up to a drought, the flow rate's going to start to drop, but it'll still technically be a wet season. So this one would still be on at the end of a wet season, which will have this one be active, but then at the end of the wet season, this will start to drop. We'll get below that threshold. This will turn off, and then one of these will be off. This flow sensor will be off, so I'll turn off, invert it, and then lower it, or no, and then raise it. Okay, I think that's making sense. Hey, sand artist. There is a lot that we have covered. We've gone through a good amount of them. We're at science now. This one. Let's see. This is just measuring if you have science and whatnot. Seems like a pretty logical one that you would have tied to it would be a couple inventors huts. That'd be here. So if this, based on this science counter, let's say 5,000 science is what we need. 5,000. Be the opposite though. If this is less than 5,000, then you guys are turned on. We can copy the settings. So these are both automated based on that. So that one seems pretty straightforward. You could pair it to other things if you want. At the moment, I'm not thinking what else it'd be useful for. Indicator, an indicator light with alerting capabilities. Pinned when on. An indicator light with alerting capabilities. Journal entry. I assume that's down here. Show warning when switched on. Replicate input color. Okay, I also just turned off developer mode because we can unlock a lot of this. Well, I guess I'm gonna need to place stuff down. We'll turn it back on. Indicator 1. Okay, let's see what it says on Steam. Indicator, a large cuboid that lights up. Use it to make certain information, as in certain input signals being active, easier to notice in addition to being visible in the game world. You can also pin it in the UI and even make it add journal entries or show a warning when switched on. So for me, it would be if wood drops down. That's going to be helpful for me, is getting this resource counter. We can get another one of those placed down. Resource. This will be set to logs. And then we can go quantity 500. So that'll turn, let's see, we can have it like, so it's off right now because we are below 500. Also, let's get some lumberjack flags. Trying it or tying it to a lever could be useful for testing. That probably makes sense. Let's see, automate that to the lever. Oh, look at that. Indicator light. Oh, what the heck? This just appeared. I swear that was not there at first. Wait, am I crazy? Automate based on this? Yeah. Look at that. So that's... Okay, I'm turning off developer mode for this part. Lever 1. Interesting. So yeah, why'd this only appear... This one is not here. If I do that and then turn it off. Oh, that's no color? Huh. blue, green. All the automation buildings have custom color options in the top right. Oh, I see. Ah. Ooh, I like that a lot. That's cool. Because you could have stuff be red. Red or green or blue. I feel like red and green will be two good ones. Because it's like, or you're good. So this pinned always. Oh, we can have that over here. Okay, so it tells you if it's on or off. We could do wood trouble. So let's turn it off. Wood trouble. That could be helpful. Can you change in the settings? You can change the UI. How big you want to make it. Ooh, that is big. Oh, what was that before? Like 120? I don't think it was that big. 115? That's cool. So you can pin those, add journal entry when switched on. Where's the journal entry? Oh, what? Oh, I see. Okay. I don't look at that a whole lot. Show warning when switched on. Oh, okay. That'll pop up. This will be helpful. You can also pin levers over there. Pinned. Oh. You can add so much stuff. Skeletal, have you played through a bunch of Timberborn since the automation came out, or have you just been watching videos on other people playing it? Oh, Jason. Let's see. Been having a lot of fun with the automation stuff so far. Have you been playing as well, Jason? So what are we at now? Cycle has ended. So this is still up because we have that set to this inverter, which is set to this relay, which is dependent on both this weather station and the flow rate being certain flow rate. We can speed up a little bit. We can see it's slowly going up. We're getting some. You'd say too much, but it's just not possible. Hey, Sand Artist. Yeah, this has been a pretty popular stream so far. Okay, so this just lowered. Yeah, because we had both of the conditions met. Skeletal, you said you haven't gotten around to it yet. You've only read the patch notes and watched videos and streams. Yeah, I have not played through this yet, so you guys are learning with me and helping me figure it out, so. But this is fun. Speaker. This. Yes. Oh, I turned off. Let's do this. Finish now. Okay, let's see. Alarm. Let's pair this to Okay, we have time 2. Let's browse. Oh, that launches my stuff. You could get some fun stuff in there. You can change the pitch of it? Oh, maybe not. Whoa. Okay, I'd probably set all these to non-spatial because I don't care if I'm next to it. Okay, we can turn that off then because we can go to lever 1. This is definitely something I'm going to probably pair to like wood and stuff like that. Yeah, if you've seen any of my Let's Plays or live streams, it's always wood issues. Let's see, we're getting there. Fireworks launcher. Oh, we need to connect it to a district center. Let's go right here. Oh, wow. This is gonna be fun. Comet. Oh my gosh. Fish. Continuous launch. Prioritized by haulers. Fireworks. How do you make fireworks? Storage. Morning, Jay Sean. Let's see. Fireworks we'll find somewhere. It's in science. No. The modder battery. Smooth came back to Timberborn day 1 that the automation stuff dropped. And managed to make a screen and make a music video for some anime that also played the music. Oh, the modder battery smooth came back. Huh. Explosives factory. Recipe. Ooh, I see. 1 bad water is 10 fireworks. Well, we're just gonna not do that. Instead, we're gonna go storage. And then set that to fireworks. And give all. Continuously launch. So I have to... But it's not launching. I assume that I would need to... I don't have it automated. Do I need to automate it to launch it? There's enough fish. Okay, maybe, am I missing something? Because it's not launching. Do I need to turn it on? Does it need power? No. I imagine I could automate it. We'll do a different lever. So slow it down a little bit. If we automate that. So this has to be paired with... Yeah, if I have it set to none, I can't launch it. So it has to be paired with something. Oh wow, that's a fish. Okay, let's change that. Oh, ran out. 10 is the smallest. We're gonna go through a lot of fireworks. Can you change the rate at which it launches? See, instead of fish... Ooh, look at that. Oh, if I have... No. Spring returned. Okay. Continuous. How does everyone feel about the new automation stuff? So you asked Jay Sean, Sand Artist, you said you haven't played with them yet. You'll let them know when you do. I think there is so much potential. It makes it way more complicated, but you also don't have to use it if you don't want to automate stuff. So I know for me there's going to be some things that I try to incorporate very quickly. There's also going to be some things that I'm not as interested in using yet because it's so complicated. But like having wood indicators when my wood stores get low, that'll be good. Being able to basically have a couple fluid dumps, you know, have one worker work between basically two of these by having a chronometer. That's one. Having some buildings turn on and off based off of resources that we have, or what else? Injured beavers, power networks, having extra number crunchers turn off when we don't have a surplus of power. So I think there's going to be some great things that I'm going to use right off the bat. Detonator arms a dynamite underneath it. See, this one... Oh, wait. This one seems kind of... It needs to be on top of dynamite. This one seems kind of useless. But then again, there's probably some ways that it'll be helpful. See, Jason, you said all things you've actively got going in the colony you're working on right now. Yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff in here. This, if we pair that to this lever. Ooh, could we do a delay? So we have this speaker. There's probably something in here that has like a oh, exactly. The next thing was a timer. Okay, so we're gonna do this. We actually want to go to the timer. Delay from this by T1 RST applies time-based processing to its input signal. Sequential updates once per tick. Lever 1 delay by ticks, hours, or days. Let's go by 2 hours. So we have, because this will be, yeah, let's do it. turn this on. What trouble? Okay. So many extra things tied there. But that's... The alarm's going off. It's gonna detonate. It's filling up. Yay. Oh, is that the reset? Oh, I see. It turns off. We can do 0. Point. Okay, interesting. 1 tick, is that? Switch. Let's see. Okay, so it's on, and then 1 tick. Okay, ticks are very fast. And then we got an injured, or not injured, but he needs tooth grindstone. How are we doing on food? We are not doing good on food. Let's give all for all these. Even though it doesn't really matter. We're just testing stuff out. But I still want the beavers to be happy. Let's do a few other well-being items. We're here, here, here. Then we can add in some spiral staircases. This could be some fun stuff. Okay, let's see. Jay Sean, you said you think they should have built the function into the buildings. They should have built the automation stuff into the buildings. Like the gate, the sluice gate, they removed. Now you have to build a valve and a water measure. Seems silly. Yeah, I mean, it's complicating this valve more, but everything else that you're unlocking is, I think that is all worth the trade-off of just complicating like the sluice a little bit. Because now there's so much more that you could tie the sluice to. So, but yeah, I mean, it does make it more complicated without a doubt. But you don't, I think with very little exceptions, you can just play like you normally do and not have to worry about this stuff. I think the one thing that you would need to do a little differently is this fill valve. So, like other than this, I don't think anything else is really going to change if you didn't want to have to use this automation stuff. So if you want, you can just play like normal. And yeah, there's some parts of it that I'm not going to probably use right off the bat, but there are some things that I'm definitely going to be utilizing immediately. So, then Jay Shiny said, looks like I'm having fun playing with all the new toys. There is a lot. There is quite a bit. So we've gone through the detonator and the timer. And then we have memory, which changes and holds its state in response to specific input sequences, a cornerstone of advanced automation. Sequential updates once per tick. Okay. So we have the timer, and then we have, oh geez, flip-flop. We have set, reset. Switches on when A, and then resets when reset. Oh geez. Yeah, this seems like a complicated thing that I'm probably not going to use immediately. Let's see. Jason, you said sluice was OP. Makes it so the game doesn't go to easy mode if you rush those right away. And Skeletal, you said the newest update added the fill valve and made water sensors 1 block high and work underwater, so they effectively re-added sluices. Jason said it takes a little more effort and a bit more science if you effectively want them now. Yeah. Yeah, there was... I mean, I think the bad tides definitely, like, adding those in definitely makes it so that you can't just, like, store a bunch of water and then you're fine. Like, you need to actually figure out how you're going to deal with an alternative flow path. And Skeletal, you said a contamination sensor in the water upstream hooked up to a fill valve is basically a fully featured sluice. Hooked up to a fill valve? Oh yeah, because that was one of the things I haven't used yet. Oh wait, that was this one. The throttle valve, adjustable flow rate. So wait, what's the difference between these two? Let's go downstream a little bit. We have these. Flow limit. Oh, you could just like... Interesting. Okay, so that you can go unlimited. 2 is really like the max that you would be able to set other than unlimited. And then you have this. Regulates the downstream water level. And so this, you have the target height. So this is when it like opens and closes. Right? Oh, do we need to actually... So this thing doesn't actually sense it. Does it? Oh, yes it does. Okay. So we can go unlimited. We'll let that thing get rid of some of that water. Yeah, we could do like 0.7. So that just doesn't let any extra water go out that goes above that 0.7. And let's see, is there anything else that they added? I think the automation stuff is like, that's the big change that they made. And then not a whole lot else. We did add in, or the developers did add in the metalsmith. So we can get one of those. That takes some scrap metal, then turns it into a metal part, which I believe this is exclusive to the iron teeth. And then let's do this. We're gonna go... Oh. Yeah, the gate also. I do remember they mentioned that. Oh, cool. So you can have that open and close. So what does that look like? Open, close. Kind of be cool if they like blocked it off a little bit more, but. So then if we want to do, we have all the overhangs. Let's see, Jason, you said you like they added unlimited depth to the fill valve at least. The sluice was limited to the height it was built at. And the metalsmith is IT. Like paper mill. Oh, iron teeth. Like paper mill is folktales. Update that removed sluices, replaced them with a throttle valve. A depth sensor downstream was needed to do sluice stuff with it. In response to people missing sluices, they added the fill valves. throttle and fill. And so then we could do something like we have a contamination sensor, and then this can be automated to the contamination sensor measurement if it's above or equal to you know, a certain percent, then target height is 0 if it's on. So let's just switch it, because that's going to turn it on. Yep, and that blocks it. Cool. Yeah, so all you gotta do is just unlock contamination sensor, and then you have a sluice, like it was before. Now it's called the fill valve and the throttle valve. This one's gonna be interesting. I don't know if I'm gonna use this a whole lot, because it's just changing like the flow rate, which I don't pay attention to that a whole lot personally. Maybe you guys do, but let's see. So we have that, and I think we're just about at the end. We have these two. An API controlled lever. Humans left a lot of those lying around. HTTP adapter. Turns its input signal into an API endpoint. Okay. I'm going to ignore these two because I think it would be fun to unlock them in like a real playthrough. Because you have to unlock them once, and then you've unlocked them for the rest of your settlements. So if I'm doing it in dev mode, it doesn't feel like I'm, you know, doing it the way that they kind of would like you to. Also, we are just about out of wood. Let's give it all back. And then we can some trees. Let's see, is there anything else I'm missing? Let's see, Jason, you said you're using the fill valve to top pools off that are endpoints for water to be like 3x3 pools to irrigate. Using those for the 3x3 pools. Okay. The way it doesn't just rush, that way it doesn't just rush a whole lot of water all at once. So then you're having that, so you're basically automating filling up those 3x3 pools without needing to have a fluid dump. Because like I use these fluid dumps in the little 3x3 pools for irrigation all the time. But then it requires having a fluid dump. On the flip side, I don't need to be connected to a water source to get irrigation. But if you want to just have it all based off of one water source, that makes it a little bit easier. And you said so it can just trickle in. The HTTP stuff is for communicating from the game to the real internet or vice versa. Example, letting chat trigger something to launch a firework. There is no way I'm going to be doing that. Yeah, when it starts getting from like outside the game to computer stuff, that's a little bit beyond what I understand. Oh, here's all the dev tools. Do they add unstable cores in this map? So they kept a lot of these maps kind of the same, it looks like. They didn't add in any of the unstable cores or relics. Jay Sean, what the heck is that emoji? Let's see, is there anything else? So we got through all the automation. We have those two, which are real world stuff, and I feel like one of these would be if Jay Sean says water, then something happens, because that would be every other minute. We added in the path, or sorry, the gate. That'll be cool. Landscaping, we have the throttle valve and fill valve. And then we also, where was that? metal. So yeah, we didn't add anything in wood, but in metal we have the metalsmith. We have some recipes that changed though. So let's see. The steam engine now requires metal parts. The gravity battery is still metal blocks. Clutches metal blocks. Geothermal engine still does not need metal. The tunnel, that's the same. Explosives factory is metal parts. Dirt excavators, metal blocks. That's some well-being stuff, yeah. Some of this is metal parts, some of it's metal blocks. See, Jason, you said even with using fluid dumps to start, you can set them up with depth sensors and later pair those with timers to top off the 3x3s that you don't want to run a pipe of water to. Oh yeah, I guess you could, because I have this guy turned on based on like a timer. But instead what you could do, let's see, you need a little bit more space technically. We remove this, and then let's not do this, let's delete this. Instead, you could use one of the depth sensors, and then instead I could pair this one to this, but it would be, that'll only turn this guy on if it's above 0.5, or we could do to something higher. That'd be cool. There are lots of things you could do with this. Let's see. Anything else you guys think that I missed? Jason, you said depth sensor to have dump turn on, timer to tell it to only run for so long and then turn off. Yeah, there's so many things that we can, I mean, there's a, what's the phrase? There's a lot of ways to skin a cat or whatever. So yeah, there's so many ways that you could do this stuff. You could have this running based on a timer, you can have it based off a depth sensor, you can have it based off of your water that you have stored up, which is cool. And there's probably not like one right way, but whatever way you prefer. So, and let's see, I think I went through everything that we got in the game. All the automation stuff. There's a lot to do. All the fun activities. Decorations, they didn't add anything. And then monuments, we still have all those. So I think that's where we're going to wrap up today's live stream. We had a lot of people who showed up. This is one of the most popular live streams that I've had so far. Glad to see that we had so many people show up. And we had a few new people in the chat, and then some channel members. Let's see, so this weekend, so tomorrow, I don't have a video recorded for tomorrow yet. I'm hoping I can get one out. So that's going to be the goal for today. If not, maybe I'll have one on Monday. But I have kind of a busy week coming up. But I'll do my best to try and keep getting some videos posted on Wednesday the 12th. That is, wait, is that right? The 12th? Today is the 7th. Oh, I guess it's Thursday the 12th. That's when Timberborn 1.0 is being released. So I'll have a new Let's Play on Sunday. Is that one going to be for the new update? I think it will. I think on Thursday or Friday I'll record a video, new Let's Play. Hopefully there's a new map, because that would be pretty cool if they had a new map to play through. Next weekend we will have a new live stream and that we're going to be, starting from scratch on a new map. We'll get to use a lot of these automation features. So, trying to think, I think that's all that I have for today though. So, hopefully I'll get a video out for you guys tomorrow, and then just normal video schedule and live stream schedule. Wednesdays and Sundays I release videos. On Saturdays in the morning we do live streams. So thank you guys for joining. This was great. Jason and Skeletal, you guys were talking a lot. I really appreciated all you guys. Sand Artist, good to see you again. Jay Sean was here. Lucky, and then Games Nation, and then we had OS Carmelin. You showed up for a little bit. Scott, you were the first person to pop in. So thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream.